Welcome to another meeting of TV Holics Anonymous. Welcome to another meeting of TV Holics Anonymous. My name is Ruru, and I am a frickin' TV holic. So today, I know I haven't done an episode of this in a long time, so I thought I'd pop back on here and do an episode for you guys of Choo-ry. Again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering anyone's names, the name of this TV show on Netflix. It's episode 16, and sorry, in advance again that Mimi's not here. I'm trying to get her to watch this show because it's freaking hilarious, and she has watched Physical 100, which Chu Sung-hoon was in, and I think she'll really like it, but she's just got a lot on her plate, and she's like, I can't add another TV show. As you guys probably know, we're quite behind on all the Bravo stuff that we normally do together, so that's why I'm keeping things going with the K-dramas and the Korean content, and I've got some other stuff that I've watched too, but I want to stick to the Korean content for now because I'm really loving all the Korean stuff on Netflix, and I just want to keep going with that for now. It's kind of I actually also want to do Wednesday because I have seen the Addams Family spin-off Wednesday on Netflix. I saw the first season, and season 2 is out right now, so I was thinking about covering it, but I wanted to do it with Mimi because I know Mimi has seen it too. So I'm not sure how that's going to go, but I hopefully me and Mimi can knock that out together. But I doubt she's got time at the moment because she's like I keep saying, she's extremely busy. Okay, I'm digressing. Let's just get on with this episode. So this one was really weird because there was hardly much in-depth conversation between the host Chu Sung-hoon and the I was going to say participant, but it's not a game. It felt like a game today. Not today, but this episode. But the host Chu Sung-hoon and the I was going to say contestant, not contestant. I don't know where my mind's at. The host and the interviewee. So yeah, it was really strange, but I'll get into that in a second. Also, I thought the other guy who was in the episode with at the Han River, who was co-hosting this show with Chu Sung-hoon for I believe 2 episodes. He did the nail salon episode, and he also did the the Han River episode as well. So I don't know where he went, and at the beginning of the show there was a different comedian that was hosting with him, so I felt like they had really good chemistry, and I don't understand why they kind of dumped him and went with this other actor singer kind of guy, and then now there's no one, and he just hosted it by himself and interviewed this, well, not interviewed really, but just did some random stuff with this interviewee who happens to be a comedian as well. So it's just getting stranger and stranger. I was kind of okay with the format before, but this episode was really wacky and out there, and I didn't really like this episode that much. I thought I was going to because it's of the setting and everything like that, but anyway, let me just say what I've got to say. So basically, this is a Lotte World episode. So this is kind of Lotte World is in Songpa gu in Seoul, and I think it's basically the Korean version of Disney World, and it's basically all under one roof. It's a giant shopping center kind of theme park situation. So the guest is Cho Sae. Again, I'm sorry if I'm saying his name wrong. I'm going to try and refer to him as a comedian as much as possible in this episode. So, Cho Sae, the comedian, he basically says that he loves theme parks, and they are like a great like stress relief for him in his life, and he always visits theme parks when he travels, and he's always wanted to go on a date to the theme park, but he's like never been with his wife, who he's recently married. So yeah, that's the whole premise. Like that's the thing that he wanted to try, because you know you have to try stuff on this show. Try Choo-ry, that's the whole like theme of the show. So basically at the start they had to wear like school uniforms for some reason at this theme park. It's random but like interesting and quirky, but I love like this Korean school uniforms. Also I like Japanese school uniforms too. It's very like cute and put together, and like it looks nice. It's not like British school uniforms. Like we always look messy and like nasty in our school uniforms. Um, so yeah, so that was like random but quirky, and they also bought like these ridiculous like headbands with like ears on them, and this decided that they were gonna like be each other's like date and call each other darling throughout the whole date, the whole like date process, the whole day. And that's basically like because he wanted to go with his wife. So Chu Sung Hoon is basically the comedian's like surrogate wife for the day. And I found this kind of like annoying because the whole like not that stuff, but the premise of the show, because like in Korea you're not like allowed to film people without their consent. So they kept like blurring people's faces, and that's like a whole part of like the theme park like experience. There's like people everywhere, so there was so much blurring going on in this episode, so I think that contributed towards my kind of like hate for the episode. Also yeah, so that's that. So now let's get on with the first activity. So the first activity is that the comedian decided he wanted to go on the Viking swing boat ride, which is kind of like a standard ride for most like theme parks like around the world. Like I've been on like a million of these. Not a million, but you know, I've been on my fair share of these like kind of like rocking boat situation things. And it's the kind of ride that makes you want to like vomit. Like that's what it makes me feel like. And yeah, I haven't vomited on it before, but I get that kind of like vomity, like not in my stomach kind of like feeling. It's just basically not for me. They enjoyed the ride, and basically they just had their hands up the whole time. And they even like noticed that a kid was in front of them, and they both like asked, is it going to be okay for the kid to ride the ride? I think they were talking to the mother of the kid. And is it safe for the kid? And the mom was like, yeah. Um, so they also decided for some weird reason, like I don't get this, to shout out Kimito, um, when like they got to the top of the ride, like when it got to the highest point, they decided to just like scream that out. And the rules were that they had to just keep their hands up the whole time. And then Chu Sung Hoon, um, at the end of the ride, made sure to like ask the kid if the kid was okay and if the ride was all right for the kid, and the kid was like, yeah. And she just basically said she enjoyed it, and then he kind of like high-fived her. So then we move on to the next ride, which is the boat ride. And what they call the boat ride is what I call the log ride. Like, and I'm sure like a lot of people around the world call it the log ride, because you're like riding in a giant log that's been scooped out and made into like seats for you. So like Chu Sung Hoon sits in the front, even though he's like wearing lots of like expensive stuff that he doesn't want to get wet. And then he kind of like to me basically it didn't make any sense why he was like sitting in the front. Like you know that you're gonna get soaked if you sit in the front. It's like a no-brainer. Um and he feels like basically he's not going to get wet in the front of the boat for some reason. The comedian is like hugging him from the back to protect Chu's clothes, and that's again not making much sense to me. Like, make it make sense, guys, make it make sense. And it just felt like the comedian was like trying to like cop a feel of like Chu Sung Hoon throughout the ride. It was really strange. Um, and then I just want to say on a side note, I can't believe that they got like a whole like entire like log ride in this place, like into this like kind of like indoor theme park. Like normally log rides are for like the outdoor theme parks, the ones that I've been on anyway, like around the world. But like this one was like I can't believe they like managed to get it in here, because normally they're like, I guess they managed to fit in because it's like a giant shopping center, quite complex with a roof. Um, but normally, like I said, the log rides that I've been on, are quite long, and the rides normally have like a sleepy slope area, and then they get kind of like have loads of like bits where it climbs and then dips. So normally it's really high up. So yeah, it's kind of weird for me. I've never been to an indoor log ride before. Also, it feels like the comedian is like scared on each of the rides that he's been on so far. Like his face just looks like scared. And it's quite contradictory to what like he states, that when he like first comes in, he says that he loves going to like theme parks, but he to me looks like absolutely petrified on like some of the rides. Okay, so next what happens? So then they go on there. So when they're on the ride, they get soaked basically, and um that was not really like a big surprise to me. I expected that. Like they definitely were going to get soaked. It's a log ride, that's what happens. And the second ramp, that was like the first one, but the second ramp that they went down was twice as high, and they were like hyping themselves up for that, and then it really looked like the comedian was like grabbing Chu Sung Hoon's like cleavage again and trying to like cop a feel off like Chu's goods, basically, his goodies. Um and then Chu Sung Hoon, I felt like kept flinching and like clenching his teeth as well. Not flinching, but just clenching his teeth. Every time I think they mentioned that as well, like in the like chyrons. Yeah, that he kept like clenching his teeth every time they go down the ride. It looked really weird and funny because he just looked like like some kind of animal, like a hamster or something like that. Um, they're soaked and they're like laughing the entire time, like after they get soaked, and they're looking at pictures of themselves when they get out of the ride, and then the comedian bought them and bought the pictures, and they're still talking about how like it really looks like you're my wife behind me. That's what Chu Sung Hoon says to the comedian. And then they buy sausages and pita rolls. The comedian, um, Cho Saho, um, is like paying for everything basically, and he looks a bit pissed at like Chu Sung Hoon for not paying for anything. He's making like passive aggressive comments about it to Chu Sung Hoon. And Chu Sung Hoon is still pretending to be his wife and just saying, "Thanks, darling," acting like he doesn't care, but I think he's like finding it funny that this guy's pissed at him. And then Chu finishes eating quickly before the comedian and asks for water. And the comedian's still eating, and Chu's like, um, basically like, he basically makes him get up and get water for him, buy water for him, and then Chu Sung Hoon's like, um, complaining because I feel like he just complained because he gobbled down the food too quickly, and then he's like, I need water desperately, and he's like, water, water, now, now, hurry, hurry, and basically he's acting like it's an emergency. So he's making like hilarious. Chu Sung Hoon is making like hilarious faces while he's waiting for the water, and then they're just laughing and saying, "My husband is so generous." Like Chu Sung Hoon saying, "My husband's so generous. He just went up and got me water while he was still eating." And the comedian's like, "I don't want my wife to like spend a penny here." So they're still role playing that. Then before they set off, the comedian's like, "I don't want to like lose you basically, so let's hold hands the entire rest of the time we're here." So they set off to the next adventure holding hands, and then they film them like they want. The Chu Sung Hoon wants to go pee, and they both want to go pee. So They film them like peeing and holding hands. But like the whole time they were peeing, they were holding hands, which is like super like gross, I find anyway. Um, and I feel like, isn't it like weird to film them at the like urinal, like peeing, like holding hands? Is it just me, or does anyone else think that's like super gross? And I don't feel like they wash their hands properly. How are they meant to wash their hands with soap with one hand? Like, it's not really making much sense to me. Hopefully they wash their hands properly. So then Chu comes across some churros and he's like, "Darling, we need those. It's an amusement park and we can't do an amusement park without churros." And the basically the editors add like a code word for pay for this is every time he says Chu Sung-hoon says darling, that means pay for this. And then they basically just carry on walking with the Cheerios and they feed each other from their own Cheerios. And Chu Sung-hoon basically takes a giant bite of the comedian's Cheerio. And again, the comedian looks slightly pissed. And then Chu gives his rubbish, basically his trash, to the comedian and like shoves it into the comedian's like jeans pocket. And he says, "Oh, basically, you're a real man. You take care of all my trash." So yeah, he's really like taking the piss with this comedian. And then next they go to a carousel and they're talking about how it was in a movie or a TV show like Stairway to Heaven or something like that. And they see a couple and Chu Sung-hoon basically encourages them to kiss and they do, and he declares that like we should kiss too as a couple and let's take some couple pictures. So the comedian seems like shocked and concerned and like kind of surprised, and they basically decide to take the pictures. And in the first picture, they hug and take a picture together in front of the carousel. And Chu Sung Hoon wraps one leg around the comedian. And they take another picture of each other of them like gazing into each other's eyes, like really close to each other's faces, like in a like kind of loving way. Yeah, so it looks like he's kind of like about to kiss the comedian. And I think that he's like just like loving antagonizing this comedian, and Chu Sung-hoon is laughing, and the last picture Chu says that you can carry me to the comedian, and then he proceeds to jump onto the comedian. The comedian carries him and is like trembling. The comedian's like trembling and shaking while holding him in his arms, and they smile for the camera and they get that shot. And then I actually, I just feel like he could have broken his back trying to carry Chu. So it was funny, but like at the expense of the comedian. So I guess yeah, it was funny. Um, the camera lady basically says that let's take one more, and then Chu Sung Hoon basically jumps back into the comedian's arms, and they both like topple over because he can't really carry him anymore, and his legs just are like all tapped out. It basically turns out to be like the pictures turn out to be like 30,000 Korean won to print the photos. And that's like, I think is like super expensive for just like 10 images. And basically, Chu Sung Hoon and the producers basically try like, you know, make him, not make him, but, kind of make him pay the comedian for the pictures, and he looks like pissed, more pissed than ever. And then someone from the production team says like, "Why are you like glaring at the production team every time you pay?" And he answers like, um, basically saying like, "How much am I gonna spend of my personal money?" He says this like while like having like a serious expression and still looking pissed at the producer. And then they have their first like lovers kind of quarrel, Chu Sung Hoon and the comedian. And Chu Sung Hoon says basically, if you came with your wife, would it be like a waste of money? And the comedian says like, no, I'm just like so happy, basically. Um, So then he finds out. So I think he sarcastically says, "No, I'm just so happy." And then basically he finds out that he's spent over £100,000 so far, not pounds, dollars, not dollars either, Korean won so far, and that's like a crazy price. But I guess like theme parks are like wildly priced these days, and it's like crazy on just like basically theme park crap. And then Chu Sung-hoon decides to poke the bear once again by testing his boundary limits, by proclaiming that he is like hungry once again. And then the comedian basically ends up buying, like not buying, but yeah, he ends up basically pulling out his wallet to buy some more like sausages for Chu Sung-hoon once again. The comedian pretends to be happy because he claims that he's earning like mileage points, and Chu is basically laughing his head off. And then Chu Sung Hoon spots another snack and tries to get the comedian to get it for him, and the comedian's like basically like, no, let's go on a roller coaster. And they're still like walking like hand in hand, waiting in line to get on the roller coaster. They both agree to ride it like with blank expressions on their faces while still holding hands, and Chu looks a bit scared while the roller coaster is like climbing up, but he's putting on like his manliest brave face like on. And while the comedian, I feel like, yeah, the comedian was just like blank faced, like he wasn't scared kind of situation, but I feel like Chu Sung-hoon was secretly scared, but he's trying to put on his like manliest bravest face. And then while the roller coaster is like going up, they both look blank faced. I do think that's quite a funny concept. I know a lot of people have done that in the past, but it's quite funny. And they both did a good job. And then Chu Sung Hoon like does break character a few times by clenching his teeth, and I feel like that was in fear, like a few times. And then he also squeezes the comedian's hand really tight, and the comedian starts screaming that his hand is hurting. And they cut to basically Chu Sung Hoon, who has like this cheeky grin on his face, and he seems like satisfied with the comedian guy, like being in pain, like shouting in pain, basically satisfied with what he's done. And the comedian at the end of the ride said that you squeeze my hand like so tight, I think it's broken, and shows like his bent fingers to the camera. And then after the ride, the comedian offers to buy drinks, and for Chu Sung Hoon, once again, and then basically Chu Sung Hoon is basically like rubbing it in and taking a picture on his phone and saying, "You look amazing, darling, when you pay." And I feel like this is just like a fun opportunity for Chu Sung Hoon to like bully, tease, and like haze and antagonize this poor comedian. I'm not saying that it wasn't entertaining, but the comedian, I don't feel like I feel like he got the raw end of the deal basically. Like he didn't. It wasn't fun for him. It felt kind of bullyish. And then the comedian then says that he checked his like card again, and he used it like 7 times today, and he then like proceeds to convince himself that the like number 7 is lucky for him, and that he's acting like he's happy that he's racking up like mileage points on his card. And then to which like Chu Sung Hoon is just starts laughing, and he's trying to say something about if he comes back here with his wife next, but he loses his like train of thought, the comedian, like his thought process, because he's like, my hand hurts so much from Chu Sung Hoon like crushing it on the roller coaster. And he just like said that this is like great practice for a date before I come to the amusement park with my wife. But it's really weird, like he hasn't gone to the amusement park with his wife, not even like when they were dating. If he claimed that he like loved amusement parks so much, wouldn't he want to share that experience with his like partner? Kind of weird and strange. Again, it's not adding up. They then go on the hot air balloon ride before they leave, and they make a bet saying they will text their wives and basically see who gets like a text back first. They will both send a heart message to their partners, and if the comedian wins, he wants something from Choo's brand, and if Choo Sung-hoon wins, he wants something from the comedian's brand. They go head to head and text on the hot air balloon, and they're making like small talk in the hot air balloon while they're waiting for the results, like waiting for their wives to like message back or call back. But and Choo Sung-hoon asks like, how did you enjoy today? And the comedian responds with like, darling, you made me feel secure and happy. And Choo Sung-hoon just like does a face like side eyes him like, yeah, right, kind of situation. And the wives don't really reply, so they try calling them um to see who picks up first. And basically the producers write that 30,000 Korean won is at stake here. The comedian's wife then picks up the phone and he's happy, and then Choo Sung-hoon is upset and blames it on the time difference. And the producers state on the screen that there is no time difference between Ilbon, which is Japan, and Korea. So Choo says that he might get a phone call back in like 5 hours, and he says to the producers, "Please understand." Um, the comedian, I thought that was hilarious. The comedian is like happy that he made back like a lot more money than he spent today, because he spent about 100,000 Korean won, and he's getting like merch worth 300,000 Korean won. So then the comedian like requests sleeveless t-shirts, shorts, backpacks, things for his wife and his father. And in the end, the clip for the next episode, it shows that Choo Sung-hoon's wife actually called him back exactly 5 hours later, like he predicted, and he's very excited and that his prediction came true, and he's basically telling the producers. So that's where the episode ends. I found this like kind of, like I said, like a bit annoying, this episode. Like it just felt like it was a bullying episode for Choo Sung-hoon to just be like bullyish. And I kind of didn't really like the way it was going, like how his character was portrayed in this. And also I didn't like the fact that they didn't really have like that much in-depth conversation. I know they do like different types of activities and stuff usually like in all the episodes, but they always do like a segment at the end where they're talking about more deeper things about the person that he's interviewing's life and stuff like that. And I felt like there was nothing there. It was just like an airy fairy kind of like all over the place episode, which didn't really have anything interesting going on. So it wasn't like my fave. I didn't really like it at all, to be honest. It's the episode that I've least liked so far from this entire season, which I've liked all the episodes of Try Choo-ry, but this episode was not for me. I didn't really like it. I give it a thumbs down this episode. Hopefully the next one looks interesting. He looks like he's at dinner with like another Korean celebrity, so that probably will be interesting, and I can't wait to watch that. So I will recap that one for you guys and let you know my thoughts on it. And hopefully I'll be back soon with Mimi and some more Bravo stuff as well, not just Korean stuff on Netflix. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on podcast networks, and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and also Blue Sky. Bye.